Today I'm going to take a look at the Rolex Air-King reference 116900. As you can see in the shots, this one's been worn. It's actually the first time I've had an extended amount of time with a modern Rolex, so I was super excited to get a chance to look at it more closely. It's got a 40mm diameter, 49mm lug-to-lug, and is 13.2mm thick. I've got smaller 6-inch wrists, so this is a smidge too big for what I'd personally like. As someone who assembles watches, the first thing I wanted to test out when I got my hands on this was the alignment. I think it's a pretty good test, but I set the watch to 11:59 and wanted to see how the hands looked as they approached 12 o'clock. There's a bit of parallax here since the camera and the table aren't perfectly straight, but it gives you a pretty good idea. I wanted to see the hands align with each other and the 12 o'clock index, but you'll see as the seconds hand approaches 12 o'clock here that is not the case. You'll see it a little past when the seconds hand hits 12. Right about here, I'd say the hands are aligned, but not with the 12 o'clock index. And while I'd say it's decent, I'd expect more from Rolex, and maybe that's just me expecting the highest of the high from one of the most renowned brands out there. Now, one of my favorite things about this watch, and mostly because my time is spent around Seiko-powered watches, is the rehaut. One thing that bothers me a ton with Seiko-based watches and Seiko mod cases are these giant chapter rings and these cases that have very tall and very wide rehouts that just distract from the overall structure of the watch. They distract from the dial. And so I like that with this watch there isn't a lot of empty space. The rehaut is very short, the engraving's really nice, and the way that it reflects the light on this turntable here is just very pleasant. And of course this is because of the thinner movement that the Rolex uses, but I just can't help but love this part of the watch. The lume is a very nice bright BGW9, but as you can see, none of the indices other than 12 o'clock are lumed, so you'll have a hard time seeing the time in the darkness. I'm personally not a lume head, so I don't mind that much, but I know that it can be a deal breaker for some. Another little thing that I enjoyed was just how smooth using the crown was for both winding and setting the time, and how rotating the crown clockwise advanced the time. While Seikos do this, the other higher beat movements that I've been handling, like the Miyota and the Solitas, do the whole counterclockwise thing, which just throws me off. So this tiny thing, in addition to how smooth everything feels, just makes the experience of setting the time that much more pleasant. Overall, I was impressed more in handling a Rolex in general versus being impressed by this particular Air-King. The size is a bit too big for me, and I didn't love the alignment at 12 o'clock. A Rolex that is on my radar is definitely that 36mm Explorer, but I definitely need to check out the alignment before leaving the AD, if they'd even let me buy one. And that's just my opinion. And if you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.